Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the lightning round with Diener? Question number 1. What's the one thing that you're most terrible at?
Saying I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
what
deep.
that's deep. I'm trying to think of what would my wife say I'm really bad at, and I'm pretty sure that'd be the first thing that she would say. She'd say I'm terrible at saying sorry, so I got to get better at that.
Well, at least you're self-aware, so that's
Yes.
already a step forward.
Yep.
Question number 2. What is the longest amount of time you have been awake?
Oh man, I think it was probably one of my very first like road trips as a wrestler. It was like my second or third show, and I was awake for, oh man, I think like 48 hours straight.
Oh.
And so I got off work, and then I went and I picked up I actually went on my way to pick up some guys because I had a minivan, and then we drove and we did the show that was like 10 hours away. I wrestled, I got back in the van, I drove those guys back home. Then I had to drive back to my house thinking I'd go home to get some sleep. By the time I got back to my house, no, I had to be at work again. And then I went back to work, and I think it was like 48 hours straight. And I remember driving home from that wrestling show, like music cranked, head out the window, wind in my face, slapped myself in the face trying to stay awake. That's the first thing that comes to mind for sure.
Oh my God, how long was that nap afterwards? The first
Oh man,
you got?
I think it was like 48 hours being awake, and I think it was like 48 hours straight of sleep after. I was just I went to bed and didn't wake up.
Question number 3. What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
Oh my gosh, probably some of the crazier things I've done. I am not going to divulge to the public in this forum.
But the appropriate crazy things.
Yeah, the crazy things like. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is like stuff that I used to do when I was a kid. I grew up in a very small town in the middle of nowhere, like a little rural town. We were surrounded by farmland. It was like this little beach town that still people to this day that live around it don't even know that this place exists. And we used to like make ramps. There's a pier, and we used to make a ramp, and then we'd attach a rope to our BMX bike with an empty 2-liter soda bottle, so that we would literally ride our bike, ramp off, and just go flying through the air into the water. And then we could let go of the bike, and the bottle would help the bike float. So then we could just go grab the bottle, swim it back to shore, and then we were just ramping off this pier into the water all day long. That's just one.
God.
Yeah, that was just one crazy thing that me and my friends had to do when we were younger. Funny side note: later on, when I was like 25 years old. Eric Young, the leader of VBD, came to Port Bruce, which is the town I live in or grew up in, and said, "Hey man, this is what we used to do when we were kids. Do you want to do it now?" And we found a bike, and me and Eric Young ramped bikes into the pier off of a ramp when we were like 25 years old. So fun side note.
That is fantastic. Like, I'm visualizing that, and I'm thinking that sounds really, really awesome. And you know what? You guys got to do it again. Do it again, because that sounds like a really good time.
Maybe we'll do an anniversary of that.
Yes.
Soon, of riding our bikes off into the pier.
Question number 4. If you had to flee the country, where would you choose to live?
Ooh. I really like Tennessee. I'm a Canadian. A lot of people don't realize, maybe don't know this, but I'm a Canadian. So if I had to flee Canada, I would probably live in Tennessee. I love Tennessee. I used to go to Nashville all the time when I was kind of growing up in the business and was trying to get a job with then TNA Wrestling. I kind of fell in love with Tennessee, and now it's pretty awesome that we're filming a lot of our events in Tennessee, with Nashville being the home base for Impact Wrestling right now. So that would probably be where I'd choose to live.
That's awesome.
Tennessee is an amazing state.
Question number 5. You're about to get into the fight. What song comes on as your soundtrack?
Oh man, probably Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones. Hey ho, let's go. I think that would just start, and we'd be like, all right, man, let's go, and we'd be throwing down.
Set the mood. Question number 6. What movie can you watch over and over again and never get tired of?
Again, probably going back to my childhood, probably an answer that people wouldn't be expecting. But I used to, when I was a kid, watch The Wizard of Oz like 3 to 4 times a day. My mom would be like, "What do you want to do now?" I'm like, "I want to watch Wizard of Oz." And then when that was over, like, "What do you want to do?" "I want to watch Wizard of Oz." So I could probably sit down with my kids to this day. And they go, right, let's watch The Wizard of Oz, and we'll just watch it on repeat all day and redo that with my kids. That would probably be my answer to that one.
Wizard of Oz is definitely one of the greatest of all time. Who's your favorite? Is it the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion?
Scarecrow for sure. I mean, his crazy wild dance moves and falling over himself on the Yellow Brick Road, like that got me every time as a kid. But those damn flying monkeys are terrifying.
They
still
are.
Still to this day. It was one thing when I remember watching it with my daughter. I'm like, we were watching that, but like it got to that point, I kind of warned her, and then she's covering her eyes, and I remember that being super scary when I was young. But that movie stands the test of time. It's young or old. That's a solid film right there.
It really does. That is a great pick. Question number 7. What's the most paranormal thing that has ever happened to you?
Oh, wow. Well, I actually saw a ghost once. I woke up and there was someone standing beside my bed.
Oh, no.
And I started to scream and yell and kick and punch at this person. Blitzkrieg Bop didn't start to play during this fight, but right. If I could, it would have, and I would have started to throw down. But I was just kicking at this spirit standing there, and they just kind of looked at me as I was kicking, and they turned around and they walked out of the room.
Oh my God, I got chills. Did the spirit have like any sort of like clothes? Was he like any type of
he kind of looked like an old school pirate looking type person.
What?
This was in my mother's house, and I've actually had a number of people that kind of have like a certain sense about places that walked into my mom's house, and as soon as they walked through the door, they're like, "This house is haunted, isn't it?" And
it must have been something like before it was like your house. It must have like something must have happened there.
There's some wild stories of some kind of history. It's an older house, an old century house, and there are some kind of crazy historical things that and some stuff that went down apparently in my mom's house. And there has been people that have kind of walked in and said this house is haunted. I had a friend actually that was we were going to stay because we were driving to a wrestling show, and he walked in and he said, "I'm not staying here." I'm like, "Why not?" And he goes, "This house is haunted. I'm not staying here." As soon as he walked through the door.
You're like, "Oh, hell no."
So I was actually able to tell him, well, I couldn't ease his mind and say, "No, what are you talking about?" I had to say, "Oh, actually, I saw this pirate looking ghost beside my bed a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we can maybe go stay somewhere else if you have to."
That's insane. Oh my God. Okay, so you fought a pirate ghost. I mean, that should be your bio on your social media handles. Fought a pirate ghost.
Yes, fought a pirate ghost. There it is.
Question number 8. Which animal would be the worst to be eaten by?
Oh man, probably a snake, right? Like you see these crazy pictures of snakes that kind of can open their mouth and they eat things that are like 100 times larger than them. So I think to be eaten by a snake and just be trapped there as your body is slowly digested by a snake. Can you think of anything more terrifying or worse than that? I can't.
It sounds awful. Question number 9. What was your first cell phone?
Oh man, I don't even remember. It was definitely a flip phone. I think it was like Nokia. That was the thing, right? Like
it was.
Yeah, it wasn't like a Zach Morris kind of
where you at
big giant one. No. It was a flip phone. I'm pretty sure it was a Nokia. Right before that, I had a beeper. I was like the coolest guy in school. I owned one of those. I had a beeper, and those things were useless. I was in high school and I had a beeper. Like, what the hell do I need a beeper for? To have my friends call me so I can go to like a phone booth to call someone. Like, what the heck? But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Nokia flip phone.
And last question number 10. Do you prefer making plans or following along with someone else planning?
Probably following along with what someone else has planned. I have a hard time making decisions and don't even like to make decisions. Like if it's simply like, hey, if the wife's like, let's go out for dinner, I don't want to have to plan it. Like you just pick where we're going. I'll drive us there, but I don't want to have to decide. So I'm definitely more when it comes to planning stuff. Let's just go with the flow. You decide and I'm there.
Fantastic. Oh my God, that was a lot of fun. I'm never going to forget this pirate ghost ever for the rest of my life.